Childcare crisis is pushing working moms out of the labor force.
More than 2 million women have left the workforce in the U.S. since this pandemic began.
When you look at that December jobs report on a net basis, women made up all of the job losses, losing 156,000 jobs. Men net gained 16,000.
Even before the pandemic, women shouldered more household chores. When schools shut down and daycares closed, many women felt they had no choice but returned to jobs as homemakers.
Burnout among working moms who are juggling it all, the homeschool, the childcare, and the demanding jobs.
My son's headphones are not working right now, so I'm spending my day working while hearing his schooling in the background.
I usually get about an hour or so of uninterrupted work time. So there is also the fun fact that my son is in band and they have to do it virtually.
Man, I feel so bad for that mom. She's got to work with her kid playing French horn in the background? Honestly speaking, all brass instruments should be illegal. No one's ever said car horns are great, but how do we bring them indoors? But look, if your kid has to play a brass instrument, then you should make sure that it's a trombone, because at least that way they can provide sound effects for your Zoom calls. I'm sorry to say this, Mr. Chairman, but our revenue is down this quarter. Thanks, Timmy. You gotta admit, moms are taking on so much more these days. Working, homeschooling their kids, running a house, it's a very different pandemic experience than childless people are having. Because childless people, their complaints are like, oh man, I wasted all day watching Netflix again. I didn't even get to Hulu. Ah, man, what a tough day. But while Corona has exacerbated these problems, childcare has been a major issue in America long before everyone started wiping down their junk mail. It's the subject of another episode of If You Don't Know, Now You Know. Let's be honest, people. America is great at many things. Rebooting British TV shows, making anything flaming hot. But providing parents with childcare isn't one of them. And the consequences are felt throughout the entire country.
The U.S. is one of the only developed countries that does not have free care for young children.
Overall, the cost of childcare has roughly tripled since 1990, which is more than the overall rate of inflation.
The average cost of care per child is more than $26,000 per year for parents in parts of the USA. That's more than housing and college tuition.
Childcare costs can wipe out, or nearly wipe out, any economic benefit the woman would get from working. As a result, women will often stay out of the workforce to care for their child.
This is going to cost upwards of $700 billion this year to the U.S. economy in terms of lost productivity. That's 3.5% of GDP.
Labor participation rate of women in the United States kept pace with top countries in this area, like Norway, for instance. Our economy would be $1.6 trillion larger. Better child care is a win for everybody. There's just no downside to it.
That's right. It turns out this burden isn't just on moms. It directly impacts the entire country. America is missing out on economic growth, equality, and probably inventions. You know, like a combination refrigerator toilet. America could have had that by now if the woman who had the idea didn't have to quit her engineering job to take care of her kids. And not only does this hurt women's productivity, it also hurts men's productivity. Because if women aren't in the office, then men have to spend all day mansplaining stuff to each other. Hey, Bob, let me show you how to turn that file into a PDF. Hey, Gary, how about I show you how to save it onto the network drive? No, silly, you gotta format it correctly. Here, let me show you. Hey, do you know all the formatting shortcuts? Here, let me teach you. Have you seen a Coen Brothers movie? I mean, like, really seen it? Quentin Tarantino.
This is the Daily Social Distancing Show with Trevor Noah.